can use the passive to avoid that. So that's the idea there. Okay. Would the active or passive verb help your readers move smoothly from one sentence to the next? We depend on the beginning of a sentence to give us the context of what we know before we follow the sentence to see what's new. If a sentence starts with information that is new and unexpected, it confuses us. For example, in this next short passage, the subject of the second sentence communicates new and complex information before it gives us information that is more familiar. We must decide whether to improve the education in the sciences alone or to raise the level of education across the whole curriculum. The weight given to industrial competitiveness and the value we attach to liberal arts, that's called new information, will influence this decision. Familiar information. Well, so it's already talking about a decision, but the second sentence doesn't talk about decision till the second half. So maybe what you ought to do is start talking about the decision. What if you move this here? I bet he's going to say this decision will be influenced by the weight. Let me see if that's what it does. Got it. This decision will be influenced. Yeah, so you flip the sentence around so you get the thing about decisions up at the front. And the only way to do that, because we just learned over here on the first page, over here, was that one of the cool things you can do with passives is you can flip the back to the front and the front to the back. So if you want to, so you can decide what you want to talk about at the beginning of the sentence and what you want to talk about at the end of the sentence. So that's why you can use passives sometimes to rearrange your material. Cool. That is pretty cool. So we get this. We must decide whether to improve education in the sciences alone or raise the level of education across the whole curriculum. This decision, which is now what we were just talking about, will be influenced. Okay, and there's the passive verb. So we got the sentence turned around by the weight we give to industrial competitiveness and the value we attach to liberal arts. Okay, so this is an interesting concept. Start with familiar information in your sentence and then move to new information. That's kind of like how you structure a whole paper, right? The transitions or tell you what you were talking about and move you into the new thing that you're going to talk about. Cool, okay. So continuing. Would the active or passive give your readers a more consistent and appropriate point of view? The writer of this next passage reports the end of World War II in Europe from the point of view of the Allies. In so doing, she uses active verbs to make the Allies a consistent sequence of subjects. By early 1945, the Allies had defeated Germany. All that remained was a bloody climax. American, French, British, and Russian forces, and they are the Allies, so we're kind of repeating them in different words, had breached. They had breached. Okay, its borders and were bombing, and they were bombing. They around the clock. But they, the Allies again, had not yet they devastated, another verb, Germany as to destroy its ability to resist. So wow, so every sentence starts with some form of the Allies. Allies, then they list them, then they. But if she had wanted to understand history from the point of view of Germany, she would have used passive verbs. By early 1945, Germany had been defeated. Its borders, Germany's, had been breached and was being bombed and had been, okay, and also notice it always has that be in there, and been breached. Oh, that must be like the past participle that you like that ed often. However, that it had been so devastated. Okay, so if we want to talk about Germany, start with Germany, your sentence with Germany. If we want to talk about the Allies, start your sentence with the Allies, and that can determine whether you use the active or the passive. All right, I think I get it. Here's the point. Most writers depend on the passive verb too much, but it does have its uses. Use it in these circumstances. One, you don't know who did an action. Okay, so that's kind of like the first one. If we had something like this, the money was lost. Let's say we didn't know who lost it. We could say that. So when you don't know who did an action, you can use the passive. Okay, you want to shift a long and complex bundle of information to the end of a sentence when it also lets you move to the beginning information that is shorter and more familiar. Okay, and that's like this here. Here we had the decision, but then in the second sentence, the decision didn't come till the end. So we rearrange it by using the passive, and then we get this decision will be influenced. And so we start the new sentence with the material we had been talking about in the previous sentence. So we can rearrange things with the passive. That's pretty cool. I never thought, as a student, that I could rearrange things in my sentences. I just write them, and that's how they come out. But Dr. Dan seems to be saying, well, you can write a sentence and mess around with it. All right, Dr. Dan. You want to focus your reader's attention on one or another character. Oh, and that would be like whether we want to talk about the Allies or the Germans, and we can flip our sentences around to change who starts the sentence. Okay. Whew, I don't know. I guess, but that's a start. I don't completely understand it, but I have an idea. So now I guess I'll jump in and do those labs. And so now I'm going to pause it. I'm going to try to, and so that we can, where'd it go? Come on. There. Okay. So, so this is actually the week 7 lab. And let me read this. Okay, so I'm going to study pages 46 to 49 in lesson. Yes, I did that. Okay. Step 1, change as many active verbs as you can into passives. Oh, good. So since I studied that, I know what the heck he's talking about. And passives into actives. In these, the passive verbs that can be changed. Oh, look at Dr. Dan. He's showing us even as he does it. So that's a passive verb, can be changed. To active are in bold, oh, like that. And the active verbs that you can change, oh, that's in italics. To passive are in italics. Oh, look at he's, okay, I'm starting to catch on. It's easier to change the passives to actives if you ask yourself, who is doing what? And I suppose it's easier to change actives into passive if you ask what is being done by him. Oh, look, who is being, there's be done. So that's passive, and this is active, who is doing. It does have a be in there, though that's confusing, but it doesn't have, it has an ing, but it doesn't have like a done type of verb. Step 2, which sentences improve with the transformation? Which do not. Put a star by the version that you think is clearer. Okay, make sure you understand the original sentence before you transform it. Remember, the transformed sentence need to make sense. Well, duh, mean more or less the same thing as the original and be grammatical. Oh, okay, well, yeah, in other words, I should know what the heck I'm reading here and not just sort of randomly do stuff. Okay, so let's say independence is gained. So what did he say up here? Oh, so that's passive. So that's passive. I'll put a P for passive. By those on welfare, when skills are taught, another bold, so that's also passive, that the marketplace values. Oh, that's a verb? Oh, I see, the marketplace values. Okay, so subject verb, and that's in italics, so that's a active there. Okay, so I got to change the passives to active and the active to passive. So this is the model, so he did it for us. So those on welfare. So, okay, so is gained turned to gain. Now the challenge is you got to figure out who gains. Well, I remember now that we learned that when you flip them, what's on back, oh, there's a by. And we learned that, the by often in passive, the actor goes to there. So what I want to do is I want to move this over here and I want to move that over there. And so if I do that, I move this here, I get those on welfare. And then is gained goes to gain, and then independence. And those two things mean the same thing, don't they? Independence is gained by those on welfare. And then take the by off, put it over here. Those on welfare gain independence. Ta-da! Well, that's pretty cool. When, and then again, skills are taught. Okay, so our taught goes to teach. Oh, this is a case where we don't have a subject and we don't know who teaches them, because with the passive, you can get the doer to completely out of the picture. So you have to make something up. So Dr. Dan chose we. So we put we in, like the teacher, we teach. And now this passive, are taught, goes to teach. And now we have a subject. So now I've got an active. So I have an active there, a passive here. No, an active here too, that's right. And then skills that are valued in the marketplace. Okay, here the marketplace values them. So now we just say, oh, what do they value? Skills. Oh, that's kind of tricky, Dan, Dr. Dan, but we can still do that. Skills are valued in the marketplace rather than saying the marketplace values skills. Okay, that one's less tricky. So let me compare the two. Independence is gained by those on welfare when skills are taught that the marketplace values. Those on welfare gain independence when we teach them skills that are valued by people in the marketplace, I guess. Okay. All right, Dr. Dan, I'm going to try it myself now. I see he gave us some hints to try to help us out. Oh, and by the way, the secret word for this video is switcheroo. Switcheroo. How about that? Because you flip them. Switcheroo is the secret word for this video. Okay. Yeah, all right, let's stop there. All right, go for it.